Yo, what's good, everybody? I'm back here again with another Knox Talks. It's about 7 a.m. today. I'm just getting ready, doing a little shit. Well, I'm just finished getting ready, actually. I got counseling meeting this morning. See, personal growth and mental growth isn't just something that I talk about. It's something that I live daily, nightly, and every time in between. And it takes work. And that's everything in life does. That's something that I want to address today because I see a lot of good things happening to people around me. I see a lot of blessings happening within my own life. And first and foremost, actually, I want to send a shout out to a couple people because I see my homie Joel LaChance. He's grinding it out with his movement, keeping it real. I hope everybody go follow him on Instagram, check him on Facebook, check his podcast weekly, Coffee with Joe, Sunday mornings. But, I see good things happening for him. I want to say congratulations. It's good, but there's a key thing that's taking place with him and why good things are happening with him, and that's because he works. He puts in the effort, he puts in the time, he puts in the dedication, he stays focused, and he keeps pushing forward regardless. And I think that's a key factor with anybody getting good results because I see the same thing in people all around, like my sister-in-law and my brother. They're just opening up, just got a new location for my sister-in-law's salon and for eyelash extensions and all kinds of different shit. And it's they're always constantly making moves and they're always constantly receiving blessings, but they're always constantly putting in the work to achieve these results because at the end of the day, that's what results take. They require work. And, it's funny because once you get on the grind, I can sit here and talk about all the blessings in everybody's life. But that's what I choose to focus on because on the same sense, it's the day after my brother and his wife get their salon. It's they get home and their house floods. It's I just recently, last month, I did some upgrades on my computer. As soon as I get my shit in after a couple of delays, it's the day after a random hardware malfunction and I got to send my shit back and get more repairs, more delays. But overall, it's an amazing upgrade that's so beneficial for me in the end. But it caused a lot of grief. It caused a lot of shit. It caused a lot of hiccups along the way. But not once did it slow me down. Not once did it stop me. Not once did I feel oh, you know what, I'm giving up. Actually, that's a lie, because there's plenty of times where I felt yo, I'm giving the fuck up. There's many days where it come 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and things just weren't going right. And I'm you know what, I'm calling it quits today. And I just unwind, I relax, but I get back up the next morning and I go at it. And I put in work again. Things can, don't get me wrong, things can deter me momentarily. I am human. I still have that same, fuck. Some shit doesn't go right, or I put my all into making things go a certain way, and it just doesn't. And it makes you feel like giving up sometimes. It really does. But that's a normal feeling. That's not anything. I used to see that as not a normal feeling. I used to feel like I was the only person who would ever be experiencing those feelings that I was feeling in those moments. And it's just not that way. We all have them. We all go through them. That's another reason why I want to send a shout out to Joel, because what he's doing with the Keeping It Real movement is very amazing, because we do need to address these things, because all of these things that are mental health issues and mental health concerns and day-to-day stresses and anxieties and just the hard struggles of life, we're all going through it. And there has been a huge stigma against addressing it and talking about these things in society in previous times. And it led to no good. No good for emotional intelligence. No good for emotional stability. No good for happiness. So these things do need to be addressed. And I love that my homie's doing that. And I wish him all the best. I know he's going to keep pushing forward. And I know it's growing daily. And honestly, it's amazing to see. And that's something that I live for, actually. Not only do I live for growing myself and making my life better and my state of mind better, but I love seeing it within other people. I love seeing other people crushing shit. it motivates me to crush shit. Like, and I don't know, but I don't see how. I see a lot of people getting malice or sour emotions when other people are successful or when other people are getting things that they want. And I feel like it's very easy because, especially with social media and everything nowadays, people see surface results. People don't see the behind the scene things. And like, I try to talk about it or whatever, but it's like, it doesn't really do it justice to sit here and explain to you in a half an hour or 40-minute video the actual shit what I'm doing from 4 o'clock in the morning when I wake up to like 1 o'clock in the morning when I go to sleep. You know, some days it varies. Some days I go to sleep a little bit earlier. Some days I wake up a little bit later. But generally around that time frame, it's like I spend a lot of time, even the days where I plan like, oh, you know, I'm gonna just chill today. I've done a lot lately. I feel accomplished, so I deserve a little bit of downtime. And it's funny because even within my downtime, I end up stumbling back across just doing shit that I want to do. And then I think, whoa, shit, I'm working again. And it's funny because even on the days that I do nothing, or I try to do nothing because I love what I do and I'm so passionate about it all, it's like I still end up getting shit done, it seems. But it's to my self-balance as well, because self-balance is something funny, because along the way, what I've realized, when you hear the term self-balance, like a large sense of equality comes to mind for me anyways, and I feel like the general consensus is people think like things have to be equal. But I personally feel like everybody has their own levels of self-balance, depending on how your scale of life is calibrated, basically. You know, if let me speak for my personal terms, because when I started getting into this stuff, like I've just been going hard this last year, really, and the work that I started to do in January is really starting to come full circle and show results now. And it's funny how it works, because I haven't been expecting any results or anything to change, but as I keep putting my head down and working through things, it's changing. It's rapidly changing, actually. Very, very, very fast paced. And little changes keep adding up along the way. But I know I was getting to a point there a little bit ago, and I'm not too sure where I was going with it, so I'm going to keep drifting off, because it's kind of how I do things. But what I was talking about for self-balance, because, yeah, I know for me, for instance, self-balance comes down to, if I'm not spending more time doing my work and focusing on what I love doing in my business side of things, if I'm not spending a disproportional amount allotted time towards that compared to anything else, I do suffer in everything else that I do, because I love it so much, because it's such a value to me that I need to a lot more time to it. Basically, I need to put more effort into it. I need to put more energy into it to leave myself happy with the other areas in my life. You know, I cannot be if I'm not being the best producer or rapper or business person I can be, and I'm not putting efforts into growing daily, then the times when I'm spending time with my kids, I'm not, my energy is off a little bit, and I'm not the best in that department of my life. And then when the time that I'm just cleaning up around the house or trying to get my laundry done, there's other things dwelling down in my mind, like, oh fuck, I wish I was doing that right now, I want to get that done. And it just comes down to a balance for everybody else is different from what balance is for me. And I'm still learning what balance is for me, but all in all, it's not what it sounds. It's not what it sounds like. It's not like, oh, you got to spend half your time at work, half your time at home, or 25% of your time at the gym, 25% of your time having downtime, 25% with work, 25% with your family. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You need to find what you value most, and you need to kind of allot things accordingly. That's from my perspective anyways. And I feel like implicating that in my own life has given me results, and that's what I like to speak on, because it's the results that I get. But like I was mentioning earlier, it's hard to portray all the work that goes into the results that I get through just these little talks. So over time, I'm going to start trying to do little more day clips and more footage about what I actually do throughout the day, and include that kind of things. But for right now, I just don't have have enough cameras and enough phones or devices to be recording on 5 different platforms or everything all at one time right now. So I kind of do my work, and because while I'm making music, I'm usually on my phone, on Instagram, putting in work in other areas as well. So it's like, for me to be using all these devices that I do have for filming all the time is hard for me right now. And that's just the current stage. That's just so I just work with what I can, and I do what I can with what I can to maximize what I want the most, really. So that's why usually when I'm working, I'm working. Like yeah, I'll be working on some music, and I'll be working on my phone. Usually I'll have a beat going or a song going or something open on my desktop. I'll be working on social media or something on my phone, while at the same time I'll usually be kind of doing some back-end management or whatever on my laptop, and documenting, organizing things, writing things out sometimes, and just a lot of different shit. I have a lot on the go, and it's funny because oftentimes I don't go anywhere, but I get a lot done. I can sit in the same spot, in the same place, in the same room, and really accomplish so much. And just that alone kind of blows my mind away. But a lot comes down to, like I've said, it's the work that I'm putting in, and I'm getting results, but I'm not expecting results. I'm doing the work for my own reasons, and the results are coming later. And I think that's kind of my advantage, because I keep working. But I put it this way, I make less money right now than the majority of any time in my life. I have less coming in right now, and less ability to go out and get more coming in right now than I've ever had in my life. And I actually feel more successful and more happy and more on top of everything, and more like I have everything together than I ever have. And it's mentality, it's perspective, and not just that, it's really focusing on the things that matter as opposed to the things that don't. And not to say that the things that don't really matter that I don't still value. Like, for instance, I used to really value new clothes, new shoes, new stuff like that. And oftentimes in a position like this, in a time in life, it would really just hold me back to be out spending that kind of money every month and week by week, when all those new shoes, actually probably even sicker ones, will be out and will still be available in 2 to 3 years, when I have my business and everything more fundamentally settled, and more probably at a level where I'm satisfied with. And I'm quite okay going with what I can until that point, because I understand it's always going to be there. All the cool things that I want to do, all the events, all the countries I would like to explore, they're all still going to be there, and yeah, who knows, what if tomorrow I go out and I get hit by a bus? You never know. But that's not going to stop me from living in my own way and doing my own thing in today because what happens, often people are like, oh, what if you die today? What if you don't, though? What if you don't? I spent a lot of time living in the mind state, like, what if I die today? Let's just have fun. And trust me, I had a lot of fun. I really did. But throughout all those times when you wake up feeling, if you live all today like there is no tomorrow, but then tomorrow comes. So now you're kind of making your tomorrow just a little bit harder than your yesterday was, by making your yesterday a little bit better than maybe what your reality should actually be able to provide for yourself. And that's what I feel. I feel like a lot of people are being held back right now because they feel like they deserve a lot more than what they work for. And they see other people with things or things happening for other people, and they want that for themselves, but they only see the surface results and they don't see what's going on behind the scenes to make things happen. And I don't really feel like a lot of people understand what it actually takes. Like, I feel like so many people are quick to talk and say what they want out of life, but their actions don't match their ambition. And that's something that it's got to change, or else nothing will change for you. And I see it affecting a lot of people, but yeah, actions and ambitions, they got to line up. You know, if you want good things out of life, first of all, you have to be prepared to take the bad shit that comes along with it. Because nothing's ever all good. It just isn't. It just doesn't work that way. It's what you choose to focus on, because like every day with my work, every day with what I'm doing, there's always shit going wrong. And sometimes like I sit and I think, like when I'm talking to other people, or other people will tell me about their problems or their issues, or sometimes vent to me about things, or I see things on social media or whatever, and I really feel like, man, if I had a lot of these perspectives and thought patterns that I see from others in my circumstances, I don't know what I would be doing. It's like, really, at the end of the day, I'm still facing time in prison. You know, I have that hanging over my head. Like, I'm 28, living back at my mom's, about a year into sobriety from a crack addiction, on house arrest, bail conditions, basically, until I go to trial. I've got everything stacked against me in many ways, but like I never really see it that way. And don't get me wrong, when I first got in this situation and I was first coming off of drugs especially, it fucked with my head a lot. And I did have a different mindset. I really did feel like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but my mindset was different. It wasn't like it was today. It wasn't like it is today. And there's been so many little things along the way that have impacted that. To put it on just one thing is nearly impossible, but bit by bit, there's just been these little shifts and little shifts and little shifts. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I'm a whole different person. You know, I really am. I'm a whole different person. And I remember feeling like things were hopeless. You know, I remember feeling like there wasn't much worth trying for. I just remember feeling a whole lot of different ways. I remember feeling like everything was out of my control, like everything was somebody else's fault, you know? Like the blame went somewhere else. And I think that's a huge difference in what I do now, because really at the end of the day, I take full responsibility and blame for my own circumstances, even the shit that's not even in my control. It's like I just take control. I just feel it's all on me. And I think that's what was difficult at first, because I really understood that. I just never wanted to admit it. I understood even back in those times. Like I remember that's what sucked about facing it. That's why I wanted to blame everything else, because that ego of that inner core, like, yo, it's all fucking on you. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And honestly, it can break the strongest of people in a day. But the thing is life has a way where it can fuck up your whole day. Beyond your control. Just plain and simple. Life can do that. But how we react to it in that same day can fuck our whole life up. Like life, or change our whole, like, it's true. We are literally all one decision away, one moment away from a whole entire different trajectory in life. One decision, and tomorrow everything can change, whether that be good or bad. Like within the last couple of years, I've had a lot of moments where you wake up and it's like everything is changed. When you go one day and everything's good, you got money around, things are going blessed, and then the next day you're waking up in a jail cell, and it's like, the day before, it's like you got plans. Okay, I'm looking at apartments, I'm looking at vehicles or different things in life. And then the next day, boom, no, I'm not. And I adjust. I take the blows as they come. And like, it's easy for me to sit here and say that, like, oh yeah, you always got to stay positive. But we're all human too. Like, I don't think it's so much, like, for me too, yeah, it's always about staying positive, but it's understanding the negative side of things just is. Like, why does it have to be a downside to things? Because when I look back in my life, it's not the good moments that really ever gave me wisdom or insight. It was the shit. It was the shit times where I woke up like, boom, epiphany, I need to make this change. It's the shit times. It's the hard times. So why are they looked at as bad times when the most good comes from them? And like, don't get me wrong. I know they suck. I totally get that they suck. But they're part of life. And that's another thing that I feel like going through addiction and recovery, I'm starting to come to this realization, especially interacting with other people in recovery, or especially other people who say they're in recovery, but their mind state just doesn't add up to the long-term success of it. And a lot too comes into, I find, with this addiction being a disease, it's kind of giving the power away from who the power really belongs to, and that's us, because we can take control and we can, through external and internal measures, we can treat ourselves. But yeah, what I've realized though, what I was getting to, what I've noticed within a lot of people in recovery and also myself in the earlier stages, is that, what was I getting at here? What was that? But yeah, what I was getting at is, okay, I'm drawing a blank here again. It was about recovery and the earlier stages. And basically, I know I was getting at people because they pissed me off a lot. And, oh yeah, because so what I'm getting at is the actual struggles going through recovery that I see a lot of other people acting like, and with this conception that it's because of the recovery. And then I really look around and I analyze, and man, I see people of all ages, of all backgrounds, and they're all going through the same things. The same anxieties in life, the same constant battle to just say fuck it and go with instant gratification over long-term logic and long-term rewards and long-term gains and success and growth. And that's what it comes down to. We as humans are all faced with these things. And I think coming to that little understanding in my head has helped me beyond belief with my addiction recovery. Because it no longer seems like, oh my God, these burdens are because of my addiction. No, these burdens are because I'm human. And my addiction was how I chose to deal with it before. And, the struggle's always there. It's always going to be a temptation. But my temptation is to go back to my addiction, just like some people's temptation is to go on vacation for 2 weeks and just forget about everything. Some people go on vacation every other fucking week and spend all their money doing that. It's like I see just as many people posting online going through probably, if not more money, at least when I was selling or doing crack and smoking crack, like I was selling it, robbing people and doing other shit to pay for my dumb fucking habit. So many people out here I see are going to work all the time and putting in their hard work and getting all their money together all just to go around on vacation and spend it like they make $200,000 a year. And it's crazy. And they don't. You know, even some, like really at the end of the day, people making those kind of numbers, that's really not the type of money where you can afford to be doing shit like that. And really at no point can you ever really afford to be doing that and keep everything to a sustenance where you can keep it sustaining and keep it balanced out. You can't be putting enough energy into keeping money coming back in and putting enough energy into blowing all your money and living up and freeing up yourself and having the time of your fucking life. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't happen. But we're all faced with that same issue of seeking instant gratification over long-term rewards and long-term logic. And that's human. You know, we've all got some different temptation or different things that can seek that out. But yeah, understanding that that's just a human quality. And same with a huge thing, I feel like, don't get me wrong, there's different levels of them all and severe cases or whatever. But one thing I like about people addressing the stigma against mental health is because these anxieties, depression, and a lot of these things that people are seeing as these like dark, gloomy things, they're just parts of life. And often anxiety and these emotions are really your body's cue and your intuition about life changes you need to make. And the more you don't make them and the longer you go, the more those anxieties will build up. The more you go against your internal happiness and what you truly believe as opposed to what everybody's expecting of you or wants of you or would like to see of you. You need to go with what's true to you. And I feel like all these different little things, so many little things in conjunction lead to all these little situations and emotions we know as negative emotions and bad emotions and mental disorders. And I really personally feel like a lot of it's just being human. You know, these are things we all face, and it's tough to navigate, especially in today's world. But addressing them, I think, regardless of the actual instances, because some cases just don't fall under those, what I'm describing. They just don't fall under that. Like there's very extreme cases in some scenarios where they just don't fall under ordinary measures and people are getting extreme levels of anxiety because of a lot of times irrational or situations that don't justly cause that. And there's nothing really to explain why that would, on the surface anyways, be such a huge trigger for them, you know? A lot of it's just the way they interpreted one thing or another probably sometime within their lifetime. But the thing is we all have these issues, at least to an extent. And it's part of being human. And I think pushing through it, there's a little kind of thing I've been thinking lately, like it's the progress process. And it's a cycle. Like there's a process to making progress. And it's always met with resistance. It's always met with challenge. And you gotta think, like, if you're climbing up a mountain, you know, and think the higher you get, you've been climbing for how long now? You know, your arms are getting tired. Like, it gets harder as you go. And then every now and then you reach these little platforms where you can just stand and just take a minute to chill, enjoy the view and look around and realize where you've gotten to, what you've gotten through. But you also got to think, if you go back to keep climbing and you slip, it's just physics. You know, you're going to go down a lot quicker than you were climbing up. And that's just how things work. And that's why it's constantly pushing through things. You need to be so open to all that shit that everybody spends so much time trying to avoid. You know, all the situations that give you anxiety, all the situations that make you afraid, all the situations that make these changes in our body and our brain and our chemical balance happen. we need to embrace them. We really do. It's fucked up, and sometimes it sucks, but other times it's so amazing, but it's all part of life. You can't have the good times without the bad. You won't even know to appreciate how good you have it at times if you don't have them. You know, that's one thing where balance is. It does come into play. You do have to have good and bad. The more blessed life makes you, the more stressed life makes you. But what are you going to choose to focus on? You know, you can keep pushing through, because trust me, the more you do, you hit new levels. It's like those plateaus where you can check the view. You hit new levels of blessings, but you hit new levels of stressings. You know, every world of problems you solve creates a new world of them to find. You know, it basically just comes down that way. And like, it's a never-ending cycle, but it's not a cycle as in it just goes around and round and around. It's all in how you work it, because with your perspective, that cycle can pull you up or it can pull you down. And it can pull you down a lot quicker than going up. But once you go up and I'm starting to get to a point where I'm getting momentum. And like I've said before, a lot of the work that I did back in January, not really even expecting anything to come out of it, things are starting to come. Things are starting to click in my brain. Just little things I've gone through along the way. More and more makes sense. More and more adds up. More and more, like, it's so hard to explain, but it's the progress process. It's the growth mindset. And once you reach that, once you start getting into it, you pick up a momentum and things start happening at a faster rate. And I swear, it's like, it really does. Things happen at a faster rate. It's more and more and more now that I'm waking up, and it's like the trajectory or the opportunities that are presenting themselves to me are completely different. It's like so much different things are happening, so much different ways I can play things out, and so much different choices. And it's like, oh my God, it gets overwhelming. Like, oh shit, what to pick? But you can't get lost in that, because you never know the results of every outcome. You never know. You never know the results of every choice you might make. So you just gotta go with what you feel is best, what you're thinking the most about, what you're stewing the most about, and fucking run with it. Learn from there. You know, you take charge, you go at it, you go fucking hard, and you learn. It's like there's no right way to do anything. There's wrong ways, but learning the wrong ways just helps you find the right way. It's not really a wrong way, it's just learning the right way. You know, you only fail when you give up. And that's just plain and simple. You know, you can still fail if you keep trying the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You know, that's insanity, as I believe it was Einstein said. But overall, if you keep trying and learning from what you did before, you're going to keep getting different results. If you keep applying new methods and learning new shit, you're going to keep getting different results. And you tailor it. You take it all in. You go through it. You fucking take it head on. You charge, and then you have all this data, all this information to make your next decisions with. So regardless of what you could have decided or what you could have chosen back then and what you might have learned there, this is what you learn now. So fucking take that shit and make your next shit based on that, you know, and just keep going. It sprawls out. It's like the butterfly effect. And it's like when you really think in the principle of the butterfly effect, like I know usually in instances they're talking about it in time travel, like you go back in time and say you squash a bug or whatever, and it has this ripple of effect throughout time of every little thing different, because that little bug just wasn't in this spot to eat this other little insect who might have eaten this human or bitten the human and given him a bacteria and killed off a person who was maybe gonna create the cure to some crazy disease that we don't know about in the future. The way things can play out is fucking ridiculous, and that's what it's about. You can't lose sight. It's never a bad idea to always analyze about, what if, like why, what, and hows, or what you could have done differently, or what maybe you should have done differently. But losing sight on that is crazy because you never fucking know. Everything you're thinking right now about, oh, I bet you if I did it that way, it would have worked. Maybe not. You're just so hell-bent on your own idea and your own fucking ego that it's like you can't get past that and move forward. And that's what it's about. It's just moving forward. You gotta just put your head down, keep making the choices, keep making mistakes, keep making right decisions. But you gotta keep making decisions. You gotta keep pushing forward. If you succumb and you fall victim to stress and anxiety and fear especially, you will hold yourself back because there's no better way to quickly guarantee no results than not trying. And that's what so many people will sit there and do in so many different directions in life, whether it's business, relationships, family matters. They won't try because they're afraid of certain results. What if it causes conflict? What if they get mad? What if they take it the wrong way? What if I'm trying to tell them something and they get offended and I didn't mean it that way? There's a million different things that can play out in any situation. Any situation. But you just got to keep moving forward. Learn, learn about yourself. Like, learn what makes you tick. Self-awareness is key. And the funny thing is it's like, it's never ending. It's one of those things where it's like, it seems so monotonous to say because it's never ending. It never is. I'm always learning more and more and more about myself. And then the more I learn about myself, I keep applying little tweaks or changes or enhancing certain parts or certain skills or certain behaviors. And I just constantly adapt and I move forward. I don't get lost sight on what I did yesterday. If I did that, like really in retrospect, the amount of crack and crystal meth or fucked up shit that I've done in my life, like really to sit and dwell on some shit, like really like, oh my God, like what have I done with myself? Like who the fuck have I become? What have I done with my life? Kind of like, I'd probably blow my fucking brains out. Like really, what does it even matter? What does it even matter? That was then. This is now. I have control over today and I don't have to make the same choices. But the thing is back in those times, it didn't seem, what I'm living through now seemed very far away back then. So, and it's really not. It was like a year ago, like just a year ago. Like this time last year, literally in a couple of days from now last year is when I got arrested, the 12th of January or of December. That's when I got arrested last year. So this time last year, it's like, trust me, I was probably wide awake, eyes like this, hadn't slept in 4 days, probably driving around in fucking Ontario, selling fucking dope in an unregistered fucking car. Like smoking crack all the time, fucking around with all kinds of shit. Like, a different world. But this world and my trajectory now seemed impossible to me then. It really did. It seemed impossible, completely out of my sights. And I think that's what's for so long. That's why I kept in that cycle, because a life like this, whether or not I felt like I deserved it is one thing or another, or I had the self-confidence to love myself, to really feel like I deserved a better life. It just didn't seem feasible. It didn't. It seemed so far away, but it was just one day at a time, one choice at a time, and now I'm here. And it's really, I look back and it's like the fucking year flew by. Like, and I am a complete different fucking person. Completely different man. Like, I'm still the same man, like core, like don't get me wrong, there's some shit about me that's just never gonna fucking change. Like I'm still Knox. Like I'm still Nick Knox here, like, and I always will be. And like I'm always gonna be somebody committed to whatever I do. Like even when I was a drug addict, like I guarantee you I was a better drug addict than you are. Like, or if you are one, I was a better, like, I committed to it, I took pride in my shit. It's like I wasn't that closet junkie or whatever, like hiding around. Like, no, like I was smoking crack outside of fucking bars and clubs and shit and going, like, That was me. That was what I lived, and I committed to it. I went all in on that, just like I'm going all in on the direction I'm doing now. So there's core fundamentals that I'm always going to be me. You know, I'm always going to be ingrained in my own ways. I'm always going to be so in tune with myself. I'm always going to be more... there's just certain shit that's never going to change within me. Like, I'm still always going to be me. These are phases in my life that bring me to different directions or different possible outcomes. But it can change. It changed for me. The trajectory, the direction of my life, the things on my table now, the things that I'm facing, the problems I have now are not the problems I had then. But it's a world of new ones. But fuck, do I love these ones a lot more than those ones. You know? You can't go wrong with it. It is the progress process. I'm telling you all. It's real shit, but it's not easy. Good things take time, hard work. You can't expect results. Like, you gotta just... That's why one thing that's key is you gotta find shit you're passionate about. You gotta follow passion. Passion is what gives me the energy to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I just went to bed at midnight or something. You know, like, that's what gives me it's passion. Because I wake up excited to get back to work, or excited to think of what I'm going to learn about myself today, or excited to do new things and excited for more shit. I'm excited to get busy. It's like passion. It drives me. You need to find yours. But the bottom line is, I'm going to get wrapping this up here but the bottom line, I got to get going to my counseling, and I got to get back to doing my shit. I got to get back to doing the work here. You know, right now I'm doing the talk. Knox talks. Well, guess what? Knox works too, and I got to get back to that. Because at the end of the day, that's what got me the results, is the work that I've put in, the decisions I've made, the day-by-day focus, the day-by-day shifts in perspective. Day by day, one day at a time, one decision at a time. But you gotta just do it. You gotta just push forward. You gotta just take decisions, make the decisions. It's like, if you're gonna fuck up, fuck up. If you're gonna do right. But take it all in, do it, and just keep going. Push forward and do what's true to you, and do what you feel like you need to do. And that's the best thing that you can really do, because over time you will learn more and more about what you need to do, what you need to have happen for you, what you need in your life to make you happy, what you need from others to be required to be in your life, and what you can provide to others as well. You know, but it all comes down to the work. So I want to send a shout out to everybody out there putting in the work. I got a lot of people in my life and in my close circle nowadays that are putting in work for a lot of positive things, and it's amazing to see. It keeps my ass motivated all the time. And, you know, that's why I just keep doing it for myself. And I'm going to get there, you know. That's the funniest thing, like I said earlier, you know, in ways I make less, and in so many standards I'm like less successful than I've been at other times in my life, and I feel more together. I feel more rich with less money. I feel more happy with less materials and less other bullshit. Like, I'm on one. You know, that's all I can say. I hope everybody's having a blessed day. I hope you are all putting in the work that it takes to make the changes in your situation, because I'm telling you, most people aren't. Most people's ambitions do not match their actions, and that's holding them back. One love, everybody. Peace.